Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am that Arizona Cardinals kid, and today we will be breaking down the Arizona Cardinals selection last night for the first round. Now, last night we selected Zaven Collins, 16th overall. I have mixed feelings about this one. I know the Arizona Cardinals fan base is also split as well. A lot of people really like it. They think it was a good pick, and a lot of people are very upset. I can't really find where to place myself. I was upset at first. I'm not thrilled about the pick. It's not a sexy pick, let's be honest. But it's hard for me to place myself into any category. Like, I hate the pick, I love the pick. I've got very mixed feelings about it. So I'll just give you my opinions on it. Zaven Collins, don't get me wrong, he's a good linebacker. I think he's a solid pick. I think he'll pair well with Isaiah Simmons, and I think he'll make a good replacement for Devondre Campbell and Jordan Hicks, maybe. I'm not too high on Jordan Hicks, so I don't think a lot of people are, and I think that's why we drafted Zaven Collins. But like I said, he's a solid pick. Don't get me wrong. But to draft him at 16, it felt like a reach to me. It felt like, well, I mean, I already said how it felt. It felt like a reach. So when I say reach, I'm not saying this was a second round player. I'm saying that we could have, if we wanted Zaven Collins so bad, we could have traded back and still gotten him. And a lot of people are like, well, you don't know that. You don't know that. You're being too hard on the kid. Well, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is still on the board. So if he's still on the board, I would presume that Zaven Collins would be there if we traded down in the first round. Now, and here's another question. Well, who do we trade down with? There's multiple teams who would love to trade up. And I'm sure we've gotten. I'm sure we got a lot of offers. I would suspect maybe someone like the Saints, who were hinting, or there's been some reports that they were interested in Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley was available at the time, and speaking of Caleb Farley, he was also an option for us. If we should have been more focused on cornerback than we were linebacker. We're not in dire need of a linebacker. We're more in dire need of a cornerback. We lost Patrick Peterson. I know we got Malcolm Butler. Who else are we relying on? Byron Murphy I like him. I don't think he can handle that defense all on his own. Robert Alford, he's missed 2 seasons. 2 seasons because of injuries. So I hope we're not relying on that guy. Maybe we'll end up landing a cornerback in the second round. I mean, we're picking fairly high in the second round, I guess. But to me, what really makes this a reach is that I felt like we could have gotten either a better player, a better linebacker, or we could have gotten just a better player for more of a position need, like cornerback. I just said, Caleb Farley, and then the other, we could have just traded down and still gotten Zaven Collins. I'm not just ready to just burst because we drafted Zaven Collins. I was a little bit upset, but I think my issue is that I got my hopes up way too high for us drafting like a stud player. I was really hoping that Devontae Smith would fall, Jalen Waddle would fall, this one's unlikely, but I was really hoping Kyle Pitts would fall. Of course, none of that happened. I just watched every single player that I wanted, that I was so high on, just flash before my eyes. And then the fact that the Cowboys took Micah Parsons. Out of all people you could have taken is Micah Parsons. You have Leighton Vander Esch and Jaylen Brown, and you take Micah Parsons. That was the last player I wanted who was still on the board. I was hoping so bad for Micah Parsons. I was like, all right, well, we missed out on those stud players, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, those top players. We'll get Micah Parsons, and I'm totally fine with that. Nope. What did we get? We saw Micah Parsons get picked by the Cowboys, and I think that was a bad pick by the Cowboys. I know Cowboys fans should be excited about having someone like him, but to me, you have Leighton Vander Esch and you have Jaylen Brown. It just pained me to watch, and I feel kind of bad because I feel like I am being a little bit too harsh on not Micah Parsons, Zaven Collins. But it's the fact that we could have gotten him if we traded down. I don't know, maybe Steve Keim. I trust Steve Keim. Okay, I used to not trust Steve Keim, but how can you not after he drafted Kyler Murray? He pulled off somehow getting DeAndre Hopkins somehow for a sandwich. We basically, just gave up a couple of pennies and that was it, and we got DeAndre Hopkins. Nice. He got J.J. Watt this offseason. We got James Conner. We got Rodney Hudson. But, speaking of Rodney Hudson, we traded a third-round pick for Rodney Hudson. I'm not upset about that. That's perfect. I mean, Rodney Hudson completes our offensive line because that was our main focus here, offensive line. We needed to get that settled because Kyler Murray needs to be protected. This guy is our franchise quarterback going on. He's 10 years down in the future. He's going to be our franchise guy. So you got to protect him, right? We don't have a third and a fourth. Now, I'm not upset about that because we gave up a third for Rodney Hudson. We also gave up a fourth for DeAndre Hopkins. So, I'm not upset about that at all. But the only problem is that it does hurt our draft capital. Now, we got great players out of that. Don't get me wrong. But if we traded back, we still could have gotten Zaven Collins, and we could have gotten more draft capital. We could have built our draft picks. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I wish I really had a more understanding of what we're thinking. I'm a little bit puzzled why we took Collins over Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I'm puzzled why we didn't take Caleb Farley. I'm puzzled why we didn't trade back. I'm sure we got at least a trade offer. It may not have been pretty, a trade offer, but I know it sounds like this is really, I should just title the video, Zaven Collins sucks. I think it was a terrible pick. No, that's because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Zaven Collins could have been better if we traded down. I mean, I'm fine with Zaven Collins. I'm welcoming him to Phoenix. I just don't think picking him at 16 was the wise decision here. That's just my opinion. From what I know, from what I see, from what I can tell, it's really up to the future. Next thing you know, the season will be around. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how he pans out. I think he'll make a good pair with Isaiah Simmons. I don't know. I'm really at a loss I was upset. I did. As soon as I heard Zaven Collins, I left the house. I was probably being a little bit too harsh. That really comes down to the fact that I wanted someone like Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts. I wanted us to trade up, and I got my hopes up way too high. Way too high. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Zaven Collins pans. I think he's a solid pick. I'll say this again. I think he is a solid pick. Do I think he was the right pick at 16? No. Do I think we should have taken someone else? Yeah. But we've also could have taken Zaven Collins and traded down. We didn't even have to trade down that far. We could have traded down with, someone else that wasn't even, as far as the Saints. Because I, gave the Saints as an example for us to trade down. Well, that's going to conclude it for this video. I just wanted to give my analysis, because that's what I'm here for. I want to make this clear, though, before I go, that I think Zaven Collins was a good pick. I just think that we could have acquired him under better circumstances. So, don't take what I'm saying, what I said in the video, my analysis. Don't take that as, oh, well, you don't like Zaven Collins. And then next thing you know, Zaven Collins is going to be good. Oh, you thought Zaven Collins was going to be a bad player. Yeah, I already know I'm going to hear that. He's higher as Kyler Ward. Collins. He has a chance to be stud potential, and he has a chance to be a bust. We obviously know what we're hoping for. I mean, the Cardinals, Steve Keim, we drafted him to be a stud. We're not drafting him because he's going to be a bust. We're drafting him to be a stud. So, hopefully he can be that.